Hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back to the Sim Shack. I'm in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Hopefully that will pop up on screen any second now. Not sure why it's so black. There we go, thank you. Sorry for the delay. Very excited to be able to show to you today a very early access look at the Boeing B17-G from MicroProse. So before we get into looking at the plane and whatnot, just show you which variants we have. It's a Boeing B17-G. I don't know if there's other variants planned. Generally, the general consensus is that the G is the epitome of the B-17 Flying Fortress design, purely because there were no blind spots. They had a gun that could shoot at every angle, pretty much. Yeah, there may be others, there may not be, but right now this is the one we're working on. We've got one. This is a bit of lace. This, I think, might be the one that flies around America. Don't quote me on that. We got 𝗣𝗺 𝗣𝗆, and you can see, as per World War II, they've got the little insignias on the side there. We have a plain green one. Do you remember in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 when we had the sort of plain warehouse where you could spin it around and have a look at that? I missed that. I want that back. I don't know if it's in 24. Humpty Dumpty, another livery. They all look really good. I mean, like really good, like excellent, high quality. An 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗍. Let's go with, I've tried most of them now. Let's go with 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗍. I don't think I've tried that one. Before we do that, was there anything else I was supposed to show you? Sorry. Fuel and payload and identification, so nothing super exciting there. Right, so let's go back. Now there's one B-17 I've discovered in Britain, which is still flight worthy, and it's in 𝗥𝗲𝘃𝗶𝗄. Now, I got sent this from the MicroProse guys a couple of days ago, and for the first 12 hours, I could not get the bloody thing to take off. It's been an absolute nightmare. Just had a realization. I don't want to start on the runway. We want to start on a ramp. Don't know which one. Let's try that one. Complete guess. I'm not familiar with 𝗥𝗲𝘃𝗶𝗄 at all. But I've had all sorts of... Oh, that's a nice ramp. Lots of space. The turning circle on a B-17 is not great. So many things I've got to tell you. Honestly, so many things. First of all, the exterior modelling is just beautiful. I really haven't found anything that I dislike about it at all. It all looks really nice. You've even got like little sort of scratches and wear and tear on the wings. I suppose if you get really close, that does blur up a bit. You take half a step back and it looks nice and tidy. You can see I've got the crew active in there. But again, this is very early access, as you will see from when you get inside. You've probably seen that already, no doubt by now. But the rear gunner, the detail on the guns, really, really nice. Everything is just sublime. And one of the reasons why it's so important is because MicroProse have got like a whole host of things. There you go. You can see all the internals. Structure of the livery is unfinished. That's what all the writing is. Trying to make a video here, dude. That van was unbelievably loud. There's something weird going on with my headphones. I do apologise if the audio is a bit cocked up as a result. So, yes, there's an awful lot of stuff to talk about, like the official design. So those two little air inlets there, and those two little air inlets there, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the two either side, like that, are what is used to compress and condense the air so that it's colder, so that the engine can run faster. I believe, as I understand it, that's what that's all about. Oh, she's wearing like some sort of negligee. Blimey, I've only just looked at that. 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗀. Seems like a lovely lass. But equally, there is a vent on engines 3 and 2, which power the suction systems inside, the internal suction systems. So the vertical alignment and so on. So many guns sticking out of this thing. Now, I've noticed the wheels don't go round yet. Always seems to be one of the last things that developers fix is the wheels going round. Don't know why. You'd think it'd be one of the easiest things to fix, but perhaps not. Perhaps there's a total pain in the ass. But the suspension seems to work. So if we go over some rough ground, it does appear to like bounce and bobble around and stuff. Unfortunately, none of the external stuff is click on a ball. Like some planes you can do walkarounds and things like that. And you can grab stuff and give it a wiggle and so on and so forth. None of that seems to be in this plane. I don't know if it's intended to be in there. You can't open this door, for example. You can't climb on there. That would be lovely to actually be able to climb in properly. And I believe there's a hatch underneath where the front crew climb in. Yeah, in there. So they can climb up there, but that's not something that opens either. But you can see through it. You can see daylight through it. So, you know, maybe that is planned. That's definitely a possibility. And I love how much detail there is on everything. I mean, look, we've got part numbers on the blades. We've got a bit of wear and tear on the hub there that's holding them. You can see inside where the engine is, where all the pistons are. And that looks suitably dirty and oily and used. And you can see around the edge of the fairing, there's a bit of colour distortion, as you would expect. The guy in the van's trying to wind me up. Trying to do a video here, mate. Do you mind? Hop on. Go and eat your biscuits somewhere else. Oh, it's the lady. Sorry, would you mind? Trying to make a video. Madam, ma'am, sir, whatever your name is. Please, jog on. It's a beautiful aircraft, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. None of the lights are working at the moment, internal or external. Look at that nose cone. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to model something like that, but that is bang on. From every angle, that just looks glorious. What a piece of art that is. Absolutely incredible. All right, let's jump on board and I'll show you around. First of all, let's do a tour. We'll go back to front. Well, we go all the way through and then come all the way back. You can see the chassis of the aircraft. You know, it's been heavily designed This is the extra gun that gives the G variants that extra bit of coverage that possibly there was a bit of a blind spot coming in over the tail. But the tail gunner couldn't shoot up enough and nobody could get a gun on it properly, but more guns, that's the answer. So I never realised that the rear gunners were knelt down like this on a little pedestal. And my understanding is that the space in here is so tight, and you can see that's tight. I mean, I get claustrophobic just thinking about climbing through here. But I don't think he should have his parachute on. I think that's unrealistic. That should be back here somewhere. And, you know, by all accounts, this is what I've read, but maybe the G is different. I don't know. So if we just jump in his head for a minute, look through his eyeballs, you can see what a great view he must have had. Unless there were like loads of Messerschmitts coming. In which case, it's probably the last place you want to be. It must be loud as hell. Not very well insulated, pretty freezing cold. Just imagine looking out there and seeing, you know, hundreds of other B-17s flying in formation. What a view. What a memory that must be. The good memories must be insanely good, I would say. And, oh, I've not gone down here, actually. Down below the wood. There's nothing there. So, yeah, it would shuffle out to this door. I imagine all of this is going to be animated so the door's open. And then you've got the rear wheel. Interesting thing about the rear wheel, it's got a locking pin on it so that if you're turning a corner, you could put the locking pin on, and then as soon as it straightens up, it locks in, and then you don't have to worry about it then. So you don't really steer this wheel. This wheel just reacts to what you're doing. And in order to turn this aircraft, you're supposed to use the two external engines. So in Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you come into settings, controls, and type in here, wheel, you've got a nose wheel steering axis. Interestingly, I did have that bound to something. Not sure why that's turned itself off. That's interesting. A nose wheel steering axis, but that actually steers the rear wheel. So you can do it with the rudder, or you can bind the nose wheel steering axis, and that will also do it. What we need is a tail wheel steering axis, just so we can differentiate between the two. I mean, you're never going to have a front wheel and a rear wheel steering axis, but I mean, you know, or maybe that needs to be called something else, I don't know. But anyway, you can bind that so that you don't have to use the rudder pedals to steer. You could just use that on its own. It does work. But, as I say, you don't get a lot of turn on it. So all the rotation you're going to get actually comes from putting power on the engines, which is why you don't want all the engines on one throttle. So if you've got a HOTAS like I do, you don't want to have all of them on one throttle, because you won't be able to turn at all. What you need, at the very least, is to split the left wing and the right wing engines apart. But you can see the modelling on the characters here, absolutely phenomenal. This guy, for some reason, has non-seeable, throughable goggles. Same with this guy. But you'll notice that most of the others, you can see their eyes, I think. And then you got this guy down here in the ball turret. I mean, what a... I can't think of a more claustrophobic, horrific place to be. See, his is also like that, but you can see he's got eyes. So I don't know why. I mean, jeepers, just trying to get in there. And then knowing that the escape hatch, once you rotate, the escape hatch is then, you know, not accessible. You can't get out unless you rotate back out. Just horrible. I mean, Brave just, I mean, just, it's on another level of Brave, isn't it, these guys? So here we have the radio operator, obviously. He's got the best view out the plane and arguably the most protection. But then I suppose he's also in line with the wings, which is where fighter planes will probably aim most of their shots. So he has a gun placement above his head here, just to give him that little bit of extra shooting capability out the back end. And again, very nicely done. If we can get that pretty high, I mean, that's the kind of view he's got out there. I think if I was to be anywhere, I'd probably want to be this guy. I don't know. Well, maybe not, because he's right next to the bombs, of course. None of this. I've tried to see if there's a manual bomb bay door opening winch or something in here. Haven't found one, I'll be honest. I've looked quite intensively. I've tried to follow all of these pipes back, but they seem to end before turning into anything. But yeah, very narrow. Very, very narrow. I wonder if perhaps that's too narrow. I don't know. Never been on a B-17. But I know these planes are so much smaller than you realise. Now this is what I love. This is the attention to detail. Look at this. You got this kind of stuff everywhere. And it's not like, you know, blurry BS. This is proper written down. You can read it stuff. Oh, if I press the right button. Let's say that. Loading information. C bomb. Blah, 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 blah. Chart. That's a bomb hoisting diagram. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. So then we come into the engineer's bay. The engineer should be up here in his gun. He's not for whatever reason. Now I can't get, I don't know why, but I can't get up into this gap. There is a gap there, but I can't get into it. So I can't really see what he would have been able to see. But yeah, there's the footstool or the footstep thing that he would have stood on. Try and keep his balance whilst it's all going around. Then you got all this sort of stuff here. Diagram, do not remove. You know, not necessarily the highest textures, but everything is detailed. You know, the textures aren't that high, so that you can get right up on them and they look pristine, but they are detailed. It's not like that piece of metal looks exactly like that piece of metal. They all look independently different. There's a book there. And I'll show you the cockpit area, which is really nice. Down here we've got the autopilot and the trimming. So this is a trim wheel, but you can't use the rudder trim wheel, I don't think. And then you've got all these wings and stuff. Again, that's probably the worst texture, is that there. Hopefully that's going to be improved a bit. And you can see some areas work, so unlock the elevator and rudders. Doesn't work, but you can pull, he says, to unlock the tail wheel. So obviously you want that up when you're trying to move. And then, like I say, you can drop it down at any time and it will drop into place as soon as you go straight. But yeah. So the 4 pitch levers work. The locks don't. The 4 throttle levers work, but I don't think they work independently. Oh, they do. I was wrong. I was looking at that piece there. But there's a problem here. This is one of the first issues. If you go to idle, all the engines will shut down. Here you've got your mixture. This is what stopped me from flying for 12 hours. You can see it says rich this end and lean that end. So engine off is up there, and this is full rich emergency. So you would do that in an absolute emergency, or when you're taking off and you need to take off quickly. But actually, for some reason, this is back to front. So that is actually full rich, and this cuts the engines off. So I was running down the runway and putting my, I was going full rich like that, and all the engines were shut off. And it took me ages to figure out what the hell was going on. So here we got the sort of main panels. We've got the cowl flaps. They work, but they're not animated. We've got fuel boost pumps, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got, what is that? It's a fuel. It says fuel shutoff value. But I think it's fuel shutoff valve. So like, if you had an engine fire, you would, on 3, you would like put the fire extinguisher on and shut the fuel down to that engine or whatever. You got the flap lever here. Now in a B17, flaps are either up or down. There's only really technically the 2 states, but arguably, because you have to press and hold this in order for it to extend fully, you could have variations of extension, arguably. I don't know if that is a thing. I don't know if that's frowned upon. But what I can tell you is, if you put the flaps down, it doesn't give you any more lift. It just gives you huge amounts of drag. So if you're coming into land and you think you're going a bit fast, don't worry about it at all. Really, genuinely don't worry about it. 2 things for landing: come in high and come in fast. Because if you're going too fast and you put the flaps down, never exceed flaps 147 miles per hour with the flaps down. It's hard to hit 147 miles an hour, I'll tell you. When you're coming in nice and slow, ready to land, as soon as you put the wheels out, that's like an air brake. Boom. Now you're struggling to maintain 120 miles an hour. And like I say, you know, when you're coming in, aim high, always try and come in high, and put the flaps down at the last minute, because they will just slow you down so much. It's like having a parachute jumping out behind you or something. It's crazy. Crazy. So over here we've got the oh my god, what are these called? I can't remember what they're called. What they're called? Magnetos. So to take off, you would just set them to both. This is an emergency off, which doesn't seem to work. I'm not sure why. My understanding was if you put emergency off, it just turns off all the engines, but it doesn't seem to work. It's probably going to get implemented at some point. Fuel boost pumps. Technically don't need these to take off, but it massively increases the amount of fuel. In fact, you may be able to see it. No, we haven't got any power. I'll show you in a minute. Right, so here's the stabilization thing. Now, this is supposed to work on a vacuum pump on engine 2, and there's another one on engine 3, and there's a switch over valve lever somewhere. Well, maybe it's that. Let's have a look. I can't even get down there. This is for, I think, radio communications. That's the oxygen regulator. Oh, there it was. Vacuum pump A and B. Sorry. Let me go back. Vacuum pump A and B. So it's hidden behind this thing here. That will swap. So vacuum pump A is on engine 2. So when engine 2 is running, we'll do that test in a minute. This thing should spring alive. Now, I thought that would be over here, but obviously the plane I'm used to is not a G. Maybe it's an F or something, and all this has all been changed around. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Over here, you've got air filters for the engines. Anything, it says here basically, anything below 15,000 feet, any ground operation, you turn the filters on. So we'll turn those on now so don't forget. And then over here, you've got the starters and the mesh. Now, there's supposed to be some sort of primer over here, but I can't see it. It's just the oxygen thing and then the radio call. So yeah, I don't know, maybe the G doesn't have a primer. This is a handbrake. Push pedals, pull on, brake, lock, push pedals off. But anyway, what you would do is you would hold down the start for 12 to 20 seconds, and then you would hit the mesh, which is what fires up and ignites the fuel and starts the engine. But they've been bound together. I don't know if that's how it's going to stay, but I can kind of understand why they do that, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be like that. The windows don't open. I always thought they did, but this B17-G doesn't appear to have any evidence of a sliding window. So, yeah, a little bit confused about that. So here are all the dials for the engines. So I guess the co-pilot is ideally responsible for maintaining information on everything there. And then you've got your different fuel things. Now, I thought this was a bug when I did this. See that sort of flap thing that drops down? That is actually how it works. That is very realistic. But I didn't appreciate that until I saw a video of it the other day. So yeah. And then there's supposed to be a fuel transfer thing going on, which I haven't figured that out at all. So with the DLC and its current state, let's put these forward because otherwise we won't be able to start the engines. Let's open the cows. Get ourselves prepped and ready. Okay, hang on. Let me show you this first. So, see, we have no crew. If I tick this little box, we now have crew. And this guy, you can see through his eye visor. So I don't know why you can't see through the other eye visors. Equally, the information on the back of the seats. This is, again, attention to detail is beautiful. B17F and G operating instructions. Really good, useful information here, and I assume this is real data. So, right, so take off, run up, all full throttle, run up at full throttle, set and lock turbos at 46 inches for takeoff. Use 46, which is 2,500 RPM. For the shortest possible takeoff. You can hold 2,500 RPM for about 30 seconds. Use 1/3 flaps. Okay, well that answers my question. 1/3 flaps, so you can put flaps. It's like an unlimited number of flaps. Because you press and hold that button, they drop a little bit at a time. So you can have more and more and more and more. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And yes, so where it says here, set the turbo regulator, make all climbs at 38 inches with 2300 RPM, auto rich, cowl flaps open, 135 miles per hour, pilot's indicated airspeed, never climb below 136 miles per hour. On instrument climbs below 20,000 feet, climb at 160 miles per hour, indicated airspeed. Use full throttle and set power with turbo regulator. Decrease manifold pressure to 1.5 inches for each 1,000 feet. So 1.5 inches would be done on this thing here. This is the turbo boost selector. So you would rotate and set that to 1.5 for every 10,000 feet. I think that's it, didn't it? Something like that. But none of that's implemented yet. This is all to come. But you can see the detail, the level of detail that they're going to. I mean, this is going to look spectacular. It really is. US Air Corps, slightly faded. Do not remove from airplane. And then we'll go down and have a look at the chaps below. Knock, knock, coming in. So you would sit on the edge and then slide yourself down into the lower compartment here. Obviously, lots of air tanks. That's where the pilots, that's the hatch that I showed you earlier. This is where pilots tend to climb in, so they don't have to go through the whole airplane. And then you've got the navigator on the left, who's got a wonderful view of the engines, if that's what you want to see. They do look glorious out there, spinning away. Obviously, lots of twists and dials and nuggets and radio stuff. Radio compass as well. Compass is something that's not working in the plane right now. I think one of them is, but the main directional gyro isn't. So that's a navigation instrument, so we can look down at the ground. You may remember this from games like B17 Flying Fortress or whatever it was called. Basically, you would eye hole down there, you get to see something on the ground, and then you would try and pinpoint our position based on what you see below you. And then the bombardier, of course, with the ever so secret bomb sight, which the name escapes me. I'm sure you can help me out in the comments. What is that bomb sight called, people? An important part of World War II technology development. Lots of placeholder stuff. Again, you got the radio thing. Oh, I didn't see up here, this one. Maximum airplane glide and climb angles for bomb release model B17F. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's brilliant. Lots of technical detail. Very cool indeed. I'm really looking forward to seeing all this working. Especially at night with the lights on. I'd have to do a sort of a bombing raid thing, you know. None of these other things are clickable in that clipboard. So getting them battle ready isn't a thing, although I think they are battle ready now. See that chap's up in there. On the guns and ready to go. Right, so none of this is clickable up here. Bomb bay doors can't open, anything like that. All of the engine instruments are working, but you can't fly if you've got engine stress levels turned on. Because the engines are getting stressed out too early. Probably something to do with the fact that this is all back to front. I don't know, to be sure. But pretty much everything over here doesn't work, as far as I remember. And somewhere, so you got your altitude altimeter thing there, airspeed indicator there, Goes up to 500. I'll tell you what, I've struggled to hit 150. So this one, I think that one works, or does this one work? Oh, it looks like they both work. Okay, so these are working. I'm going to check on that in a minute to see if it works. What should happen when you start engine 2 up? That should spring into life, like boing, and become an indication that you're straight and level. None of the fire crew stuff works. None of these have any working features at the moment. So over here, we have the basic electrics. Now, what you would do, switch this to normal, inverter normal, and then you will test the batteries. So that one's working. That one's working. That one's working. So all 3 batteries are working. So I'll turn those on, and then over here somewhere, that's the suction thingy that I was talking about earlier. Over here somewhere should be... I haven't found it, which is quite annoying. Oh, there it is. So this thing should be telling you how many volts you've got now. And it should be around about 25, but it's not working at the moment. Like I say, there's no lights in the plane whatsoever. So down here we got 4 Jennies, 1, 2, 3, 4. We won't turn those on until the engines are running. And wherever possible, you would use external power source to save the batteries. But we can't do that at the moment. I don't think that's implemented. So, right, we've got these on. We'll put the fuel boost pumps on. And you can see now they're going live. We're getting like 7 pounds of pressure. My understanding was it's supposed to be at 5, but maybe I'm wrong and it's 7, because there's a lot in this plane that doesn't match the documentation that I've read. So we'll find out. So obviously you can't have the throttle on nothing. You need your propellers up to maximum. I've got everything bound to just 2 things. This is back to front. So that now needs to be fully forward, but whereas in reality it's supposed to be here. So it has to be fully forward at the moment because it's broken, but you do have to open the throttle. You have to do that in real life, but if you go fully idle like so, all the engines will cut out. So they won't even start if you do that. Right, so okay. Now, I've read that you're supposed to start the engines 3, 4, 1, 2. But I've also seen evidence of 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there is a difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'll start number 1. Listen for the sound. So that engine is now started, and you'll notice that the switch has auto turned off. It auto turns off for 1 and 2, but not 3 and 4. Don't know why. Personally, I'd rather have it manual. But like I say, in the real plane, you would press and hold it. It's not a switch. It's like a lever. So you would press and hold it and then mesh, and then when you let go, they would return. So there's that. So you can see here, number 1, number 2. So engine number 1 on the left wing. We've got fuel pressure. We've got oil pressure. And if oil pressure doesn't come up within 30 seconds, you got to shut the engine down and work out what the hell is wrong with it. Now, I don't know if this switch works. So the gear button appears to work, but the flap down... So whilst you can control the flaps, the flap switch doesn't appear to do anything. And how difficult is it to see the gear down button? I mean, how many planes have we lost because they'd forgotten to do that and they couldn't see whether it was on or off? I don't know. Terrible, terrible potential mistakes to be made there. Right, so up here. Now, that's wrong. You see how that sprung into life? Let's kill engine number 1 a second. By putting it to full rich. So I don't know how long it takes for that to for the suction to go off, but that suction has started on engine 1, and that is incorrect. You see the suction level is going down to 0, so that works. That's interesting, but it's on the wrong engine. That shouldn't be live yet. So suction's at 0. This hasn't changed. So what's good is that they're getting suction off an engine. It's just that they're getting the suction off the wrong engine. Unless, like I say, the G is a different variant and it's getting suction off engines 1, 2, 3 and 4. But my understanding is it only gets suction off of engines 2 and 3. Anyway, let's restart that. That should start straight away now. That took a lot longer than I was expecting. Engine 2. So you can see the suction level has gone up there. But that shouldn't have gone up until we started engine 2, but whatever. Again, engine 2 auto switches off, but 3 and 4 do not. You have to do that manually. Or better check. The oil pressure's come up on that one. Oil pressure's come up straight away. So you hear how that one started, but it hasn't turned that off. So you have to do it manually on the right wing. Okay, so we come over here to the RPM. What we want is about 1,000 RPM, which for some reason, on my joystick at least, is around about 50% throttle. I have to be honest with you, the manifold pressure, the RPM, and the whole of this part, not really working properly. Nothing's really working properly there at all. So that's all going to change in the future, I would imagine. All right, look, I've just discovered this. 2,500 RPM should be 46 on the manifold pressure. So 46 should get you 25,000 RPM. And it says here, pressure hold 5 minutes only. That must be these two. The following manifold pressures are maximum for operation and should not be exceeded. Ever. So never go above 46 RPM manifold pressure. So before we're ready to take off and move or anything like that, the oil temperatures need to be 40 degrees, so just keep an eye on that. And you want your engines ideally up to about 200, just below. Anything above sort of 220, you got a bit of a problem. And maybe you want to adjust your cowl flaps accordingly. And what we could do is we could shut these down, put the RPM up to about 1,200. And that'll help warm everything up a little bit quicker. You can see the flaps are in the fully down position. And if I look out the wing, I can't really see it, to be honest. See if we can go back and have a look at these wing flaps for my own interest as well as your viewing pleasure. So it says they're fully down, but I don't actually see them. That's the flaps there. So it's interesting that it said they were fully down, because they weren't. But do you see how, you can't see my finger, but I'm holding my finger on it and they're dropping down low a bit at a time. Although I have actually, I just remembered, changed my input setting so it's, because there's only one stage, maybe I should change that back. Maybe I should change that back now that I've read like 2/3 of whatever. So in here we'll put flaps. So I've got them to fully extend and fully retract, thinking that there was only, you know, one stage, one stasis, but there's not. So we'll have increased flaps on a button, and we'll have decreased flaps on a button. And save that and go back. Okay, so if I press it once up, you see how it moved a bit? So that's 4 times I've pressed it, 5 times I've pressed it, 6 times I've pressed it, 7 times. So every time I press it, it still tries to take the flaps up. But what they're supposed to do is press and hold. So it's supposed to be one long continuous thing. And these increase drag on the aircraft, and they slow you down unbelievably quickly. They are so effective, it's unbelievable. It'll catch you out the first time you do it if you're not careful. If you fully deploy the flaps like I did, you'll fall out of the sky. So yeah, in the game it's not really designed to be a fully press and hold sort of system. And also, my belief is that when you press retract flaps, they're supposed to fully retract in one fell swoop. That's how I understand the design works. But I maybe need to do more research on that. But what's interesting is, so I put this all the way up so that they're definitely closed. So in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it will kind of give you 5 stages of flaps, which is an awful lot. And you can use it like that. But what you can't do is use it the way it was designed, which is, you know, press and hold, and then you can have anywhere from 0 to 100% extension. Just take a look at these engines real quick whilst we've been faffing about. You see they're just over 40 degrees now, so we are ready to go. Right, yeah, I just wanted to show you this. So this is the flap position. You see, I've just put them all the way up, and it's now showing down. So that's incorrect. So I'll lower them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Technically, 6 stages of flaps. But for whatever reason, when you put it up to the top, it goes all the way down. Now, these flaps are mostly producing drag, like 99% drag, 1% lift. So they're not, I don't think they're highly recommended for taking off purposes, but I could be wrong. I don't know if it says up here somewhere. One-third flaps and hold 3-point position until airplane leaves the ground. Okay, so you can use the flaps at 1/3 position, which is like 1 notch of flaps basically to take off, but no more than that. because it'll just slow you down. So let's do that. Let's put one notch of flaps on, which just puts us there. And I'm going to have to split my engines because otherwise I won't be able to turn properly. Because this is how you turn, baby. Throttle. Right. So let's get rid of that. So what we want is throttle 1 axis and also throttle 2 axes. So now I have both the left hand engines on the left throttle and oh, hang on. Throttle 3 axes, throttle 4 axes. Make sure that's right. I love how Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has made it so that you can't see which button number you're putting in. I mean, what an absolute cock-up that is. Should be embarrassed. But, you know, the French never going to admit that they've done anything wrong, are they? So throttle axis needs to go. Throttle axis 1. There we go. I don't know what the difference between throttle axis and throttle 1 axis 0 to 100 is. I don't know what the difference is. I'll have to figure that out someday. Do some testing, but not now. Right. So being the realism chappy that I am. Oh. Shish kebab. Almost forgot. Turn the jennies on. So you see they've all jumped to life. You can now turn them off. So 4's got nothing and all the others jump up. They should share the load. They all seem to be working fine. Maybe now if I look at the... No, still got nothing coming out there. This thing doesn't work. This thing doesn't work. But we're all good to go. Yeah, normally I fly... I mean, look at this detail here. Beautiful. Beautiful thing. I try and fly as realistically as possible, so I would do everything from the cockpit. Here we have the radios overhead, and hydraulic pressure indicator. That's the radio. I don't know what this is. Oh, maybe this is the radio, sorry. Yeah, this is the radio. Let me turn around. What is this? Don't know. I'm not entirely sure what all that overhead stuff is, if I'm being honest. Right, we are ready to go. But I'm going to do this externally. Hopefully, so I can show you what I'm doing. I think I've just killed the engines. Nearly lost the 2 right-hand engines. Right, so... Oh, again. I'm having to give them a lot of throttle. That's really weird. Not sure what's going on there. The 2 engines on the right are trying to cut out very quickly. So we will be going down there somewhere for takeoff. So let me record what I'm about to do, and let's Oh, this is a new app, Flight Control Spotter. I've been trying to use this for a while now. For some reason it says the nearest tower spot view is Cambridge. I'm guessing because there isn't a tower here. That's probably why. No, there is a tower here. Let me click on it and see where it takes me. EGSC. See, that is not this one. So I don't know why. And I can't remember my 𝗦𝘂𝗽𝗍, so I'm getting distracted. Tune to ground. Well, that's awfully weird. I'm not getting any.
Taxiing. Hold short runway 24 left using taxiway Alpha. Tango, Lima Hotel.
Pain in the ass. Right, so let's go inside a second, and I'll manually turn the wheel lock off. So the wheel lock at the back now is not on, so we should be able to turn. I don't think the wheel itself turns. I'll show you anyway. Right, so I'm going to give it a lot of left-hand throttle, but no steering. And now I'll take the brakes off. I mean, even doing it properly, it's still hard. I'm gonna have to go down that gap, aren't I? I'm worried about these two engines on the right. Okay, so you can see if I twist the rudder when I get moving, that does give me steerage. Not much. But you can also do it just bound on that wheel, which is a lot more realistic. But if you actually want to turn, you need to do it on the engine. Now the problem is, it's supposed to be the two outer engines. I hope I don't hit that thing. Oh, I totally did. It's meant to be the two outer engines, so you would put engines 2, 3 and 4 to idle and just use engine 1 to help you rotate, but I can't do that because it will cut all the engines off. But I will try and rotate this very tight corner, because you can see I'm not turning at all. So it's very tricky to do in its current state. I really do need to have 4 throttles. And you can see 2 and 4, I think, weren't getting enough throttle and they've died. So let's jump back inside and reactivate them. Not a very happy engine. Let's get number 4 going. Meshing. Right, 45, flaps set to 1/3. It's actually less than 1/3, it's 1/5. But we don't really need it anyway. So normally I take off from within the cockpit, but I'll do it from outside today. Just so we can keep an eye on those bloody engines, if nothing else. So we need to put the tail wheel lock on, obviously. Nearly forgot. Otherwise we have the chance of being all over the place. Although I don't think that works properly just yet. All the trim stuff doesn't work. None of that rotates. So we'll just go on guesstimation. Handbrake on. Throttle up to... sorry, handbrake on. I don't know why it keeps putting me back in there. That's really annoying. So you can see the manifold pressure. I'm going to go up to 45, which it says never exceed 45. 2,500 revs is actually giving us a little bit more. Handbrake off, and very quickly the tail wheel will come up and off the ground, and you'll notice this because all of a sudden you'll get a lot of rotation in the aircraft. Like, it's pretty sturdy to start off with. As soon as that tail wheel comes up, it's a lot looser. Let's try and get a nice view of this. Effortless. Gear up. Flaps up. What a beautiful sight. It's really hard to fly in that view. It's even harder in this view. I have to get my camera sorted out. They're an absolute disgrace. Right, now I don't know Duxford very well, so trying to figure out when and where to turn is a bit of a thing for me. A bit of a work in progress. But we'll try and put it down nice and neatly. But I tell you what, you look at this and you think it's a bomber, right? So you think this thing must be huge, and it is huge. But technically, it's not actually much bigger than an F-15. But you think of an F-15 as a very nimble flying machine, and you would think this would be sort of big and cumbersome, but she really isn't. And that camera problem is a pain in the butt. She actually handles superbly well, unless you lose too much speed. If you lose too much speed, you have a bit of a problem. If we look down here, so we're doing 150, about 160 at the moment, which is good. But we're going to slow down just a tad. Now you see I've just dropped the manifold pressure to about 18, but the RPMs are still right up here at 25. That's not correct, I don't think. So the whole engine element, I think, is probably something that's still in early alpha stage. But the premise is here, the fundamental, the external look, the modelling, the size of everything and the ratio of everything seems spot on, and she's an absolute dream to fly. It just handles so well. You hear pilots saying that all the time. Actually losing a couple hundred feet here. Come on, little plane. There we go. So maintaining altitude and stuff is just so easy in this plane. Not when you're talking to people and you're trying to showcase it and whatnot. It makes it a little bit more difficult. Now there is a bit of a motorway leading up to Duxford Airport. Or the runway, I should say. So I'll probably try and follow that in. But I don't want to turn in too early. I've done that 100 times already. So I'm going to come around this sort of industrial state over here and then try it. Still losing altitude. Right, we're at 1,000 feet. That's a good place to be. We're doing 120 miles an hour. So I'm going to put 1 notch of flaps down. Always keeping an eye on our speeds. We're doing about 100 miles an hour now, which is slow. And we're going to go slower because we've got to hold our nose up. Do you see how much difference 1 notch of flaps made? I mean, that really killed us right there. So much so, actually, I'm going to put them back up and climb back up to 1,000 feet. I think the RPMs have finally dropped. That's what's happened here. Back up to 2,500. Just say don't climb anything slower than 130, and we're well off 130. So the flaps are fully retracted. We're doing about 100. 25 RPM. Get us back up to 1,000 feet and then I'll turn in and we'll try and land. Begin the turn. Now, like I say, I don't know where 𝗥𝗲𝗃 is. So I look out, because it's so flat and so small, when you're 1,000 feet up, it doesn't look like it exists. It's invisible. Bloody well out there somewhere. Oh, she's over there somewhere. It doesn't help that all my joysticks for looking are back to front, so left and right and up and down are all the wrong way round, which is just taxing my brain that little bit too much. Right, I think we're along this way somewhere. I'm looking for a motorway in this general direction. Right, so we're doing 100 miles an hour. I'm going to put the landing gear down. And that's going to kill our speed. We've got a little light come on there to indicate that the landing gear is down. It's probably a bit early, actually. And you can see that we're struggling to maintain 100 miles an hour with the engines down. That's why I say come in high and come in fast. May need to give this a bit more throttle. Get back up to 25,000 RPM. 2,500, sorry. Too many things going on at once. Where the blinking hell's 𝗥𝗲𝗃? I may have seen it over to the left. Let me get... Is it this one? No. This one? Oh, look at that. I'm absolutely miles off. Thank God for modern technology. Fire the navigator. I need to get some ground. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. I've lost it, I've lost it, I've lost it. Ah! That's how quickly you can lose the speed on this airplane. Because I've still got the landing. I should have put the gear up. So yeah, it just falls out of the sky so fast. It's crazy quick. And there seems to be no recovering from it. So genuinely, try and keep your speed up as high as you can. Now, ordinarily, if the throttle was working properly, it'd be a lot easier to deal with. But because the throttle is so sensitive, and if you take too much off, all the engine's cut out, it's really hard at the moment to fly it properly. But, you know, we could just about get by, just about get by. So apologies for that little crash. Now they're over here somewhere. Yeah, there's some windmills, so I need to sort of learn to use them as my guidance in. But I mean, even now I know it's over there, I still can't bloody see it. I mean, that sun isn't helping, but it's going to look beautiful landing. Thanks, Robin Hood. See how we're absolutely bang on level. We're not fluctuating at all. She flies superbly well. Just once you got it set up properly, she just glides like a dream. Absolutely gorgeous. But you can see we're doing like 120 knots or 120 miles per hour, whatever it is. And as soon as we put the gear down, we are literally susceptible to falling out the sky. So I'm not going to put the gear down until I've turned and we're on final. Put a turn in. Try and maintain that altitude. Slightly less than 1,000 feet. Highly recommend you come in high rather than low and fast rather than slow. Oh my lord, look at that. One thing the Microsoft Flight Simulator does do very well, isn't it? The old lighting effects. So I'm reliably informed, according to my tabletto here on the left, that in that general direction there is a runway. Now, as I said before, I think there's a motorway that runs straight up to Duxford. Is my gear down? I think my gear's down. Bloody well is as well. Crikey. I thought it would have returned them. Right. I think we can figure it out from here. Although, genuinely, still can't see the flipping runway. Let's get rid of this because it's obscuring my view. And we know the runway's over there somewhere. What an absolutely glorious sunset. Right, let's get one notch of flaps in. And he's back on the throttle. Oh man, it's right there! Right, see if we can do this. Full flaps. Because the drag the flaps produce is insane. Look at that, I'm literally diving into the ground and I'm still doing less than 100 miles an hour. In fact, the flaps are too strong. Flaps up, flaps up, flaps up, flaps up. Full engine. Oh. What a recovery, huh? But you wouldn't think from there that it would even be possible to land this aeroplane. But it really is. Okay, we're down, and that's fairly gentle. And the tail's down. That's what I mean, that I'm still, obviously I'm still getting used to A, 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗄𝗃, B, this aeroplane. Just everything about it is a learning process at the moment. But she just handles so well. And even then, in any other aeroplane, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have to go round. But in this aircraft, you drop those flaps, and it's like, I don't know if someone has said this before or whether I'm the first person to say it, but it's like you go back in time. Like I didn't realise, I had no idea how close I was to the runway then. And then it just sort of popped up in my view, and then I realised, oh my god, I'm going to have to go round. Drop the flaps, and it's like, oh no, I've got ages now. You know, I can just nosedive from here, 1,000 feet down to the ground, with just a couple of 100 feet to go. That's how effective the flaps are. In fact, they were so effective, I had to take them off or we were going to crash. I had to take them off and put the engine back on. And that is from just a ridiculously late observation of the runway. I mean, what an incredible aircraft. What an incredible aircraft. Sorry, that wasn't the best landing in the world, but I mean, we're all down safely. So it qualifies. Let me see if I can... Did that stop? It looks like it's still going. What do I do? Press that? And then... okay. So let's have a look at this ridiculous landing. Where are we at? The wheels are down. So even now I can't see the bloody runway. Where was she? Right, there's the runway there. It's round about here that I noticed it. Probably later than this. So, as soon as I drop that, there you go, I've noticed the runway now. This is a go around all day long, right? Not in this aircraft. Drop the flaps. Drop the throttle as much as I dare before cutting off all of the engines. Just nosedive straight for it. And now we're on the glide slope. But unfortunately, because I had the flaps down, it was sucking every ounce of speed that we had, so we nearly fell out the sky. So I had to put the flaps back up, put the engines to maximum, just to get us those extra 200 yards. I mean, that's how responsive this aircraft is, literally. And if you could see my setup at the moment, I've got my throttle and my joystick below my knees. Okay, nothing is set up for us to be flying properly at all. That was such a smooth landing in the end. It's almost impossible to crash land this thing. Let's just go back and have a little look-see at that, shall we? So from a we've missed the runway go around situation to a we've got no speed, we're not going to make the runway, to a butter smooth landing like this with controls set up the way that I've got them. I think I landed on all three there. That's just insane. That was so smooth. I'm not trying to float my own boat or anything, but I'm quite impressed with that. That was a pretty nice touchdown. I'm just going to show you it one more time so I can show off the suspension, which is implemented, I believe. Maybe not finalised, but it is implemented. What's the best place to do it? Sort of around there. So keep an eye on the suspension and that. I don't know if you can see it bouncing up and down. I mean, that was, to be fair, that was such a smooth landing. The suspension probably just did one compression. Okay, now I'm joking. I am joking. But yeah, God, you know, if you like warbirds, this is the one for me. MicroProse, if you're listening, thank you very much for putting this together. I know it's very early access, but it's looking absolutely superb. But, and this is a big but, please, 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 can we have a Wellington bomber next? Please. Pretty please. With sugar on and all sorts of goodies. Anyway, hopefully that's, I mean, that's probably enough prattling for me. That's nearly an hour and a half of me just gushing about the B17 and how much I like it and how good this is. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Obviously, MicroProse has got a lot of B17 stuff coming out, so this is a really good indication of the level and quality that we can expect. Yes, I grant you, I think we were probably all hoping it would have been, you know, fully polished and ready to go at this stage, but I'd rather it take longer and be perfect than be rushed out and look pants. And that's something that MicroProse have always, I think, maintained is, you know, quality first. Do you know what I mean? What a beautiful aircraft that is. Just sublime, isn't she? Right, that's enough for me. Thank you for watching. Comments and questions in the thing below. See you in the next one. So then take care. Goodbye for now.